In the heart of an African jungle, where the air is thick with the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves, a man named Kofi roamed. He was not just any man. He was a passionate wildlife enthusiast, someone who felt a deep connection with the creatures of the wild. One day, as Kofi wandered deeper into the jungle, he heard a faint, desperate cry. It was a sound that pierced through the symphony of nature, pulling at his heartstrings. He followed the sound, his instincts guiding him, his heart racing with anticipation. Suddenly, he stumbled upon a sight that made his heart drop. A tiny lion cub, no more than a few months old, struggling to stay afloat in the rushing river. Panic surged through him. This was a wild animal, a creature of the jungle, yet was in desperate need of help. Kofi stood frozen for a moment, torn between fear and compassion. He knew the risks of approaching a wild animal, especially one so young and vulnerable. But the instinct to save was stronger than the fear of danger. He took a deep breath and made his decision. With determination in his eyes, Kofi waded into the river. The current was strong, pulling at his legs, but he pressed on. He reached out, his hands grasping the cub just as it began to sink beneath the surface. With a final surge of strength, he pulled the cub to safety. As he emerged from the water, cradling the shivering cub in his arms, a wave of relief washed over him. The cub looked up at him with wide, fearful eyes, but slowly it began to trust him. Kofi felt a bond forming, a connection that transcended species. Kofi sat on the riverbank, exhausted but elated. He watched as the cub began to shake off the water, its playful spirit slowly returning. In that moment, he felt a sense of purpose, a calling to protect this innocent creature. But just as he began to relax, a shadow loomed behind him. The air grew tense, and Kofi's heart raced once more. From the underbrush emerged a massive lioness, her eyes locked onto the cub. The realization hit him like a thunderbolt. This was the cub's mother. Kofi instinctively stepped in front of the cub, his heart pounding. The lioness growled softly, a warning that sent chills down his spine. He knew he was in grave danger, yet he felt an overwhelming urge to protect the cub he had just saved. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. Kofi's mind raced. Would the mother lion see him as a threat, or would she understand that he had saved her child? He took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart, and focus on the cub behind him. The lioness took a cautious step forward, her eyes narrowing as she assessed the situation. Kofi held his breath, praying that she would recognize the bond between him and her cub. He could feel the way of her gaze, a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. To Kofi's surprise, the lioness paused, sniffing the air. Her growl faded, replaced by a softer expression as she looked at her cub. It was as if she sensed a bond that had formed between Kofi and her child, a bond forged in the heat of a life-saving moment. With a gentle nudge, the lioness approached her cub, nuzzling it affectionately. The cub responded with a soft whimper, and Kofi felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had done the right thing, and now the family was reunited. Kofi knelt on the ground, watching the tender reunion unfold before him. In that moment, he realized that compassion knows no boundaries. He had stepped into the unknown, driven by a desire to help, and in doing so, he had witnessed the beauty of nature's connections. As the lioness turned to leave, she glanced back at Kofi, her eyes reflecting a silent understanding. Kofi smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the experience. He had not only saved a life, but had also forged a moment of connection that would stay with him forever. With the sun setting behind him, Kofi stood alone in the jungle, reflecting on the day's events. He understood that life is unpredictable, and sometimes the most profound connections come from the most unexpected encounters. He walked away with a heart full of hope, knowing that compassion can bridge the gap between species. As you reflect on Kofi's journey, consider this. What would you do in a moment of crisis? Would you have the courage to step into the unknown and help those in need? Remember, every act of kindness counts, no matter how small. In a world filled with challenges, let us strive to be the light that guides others to safety.